There are football matches, and then there are moments. Tomorrow afternoon at the Estadio Azteca, 87,500 people will pack into one of the most iconic stadiums on the planet for what is not just a football match. It is the opening ceremony of the biggest World Cup in the history of the sport. 104 games, 48 nations, 3 countries, and it all begins here in Mexico City with the same 2 teams that started the whole thing 16 years ago in Johannesburg. The symmetry is almost too poetic to believe. In 2010, South Africa and Mexico opened the World Cup at Soccer City in what became one of the most emotionally charged opening games the competition had ever seen. Sifiwe Chabalala rifled that thunderous long-range strike past Guillermo Ochoa. The Azteca fell silent thousands of miles away, and for a brief and beautiful moment an entire continent believed. Rafael Marquez eventually equalized, and the match ended 1-1, but the image of that goal has lived in football's memory ever since. Now the exact same fixture opens the exact same tournament, the script completely reversed. Mexico are the hosts. South Africa are the visitors. And the weight of what this game means to both nations is almost impossible to overstate. For Mexico, this is not simply a football match. It is a national reckoning that has been building for years. El Tri suffered a humiliating group stage exit at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, ending a streak of 8 consecutive round of 16 appearances and leaving an entire nation shattered. That exit was the low point of a generation of underachievement, a squad that was always supposed to be talented enough to go further, always supposed to find a way past the second round, always supposed to make history, and never did. The pressure on this squad is unlike anything any of these players has previously experienced. They are not just expected to win this tournament's opening match. They are expected to finally, after 4 decades of heartbreak, do something truly memorable on the biggest stage. Mexico are the first and only country in history to host the World Cup 3 times, having done so in 1970, 1986, and now 2026. Both of their previous hosting editions ended with quarterfinal exits. This nation is desperate, hungry, and fully aware that history is watching. Javier Aguirre understands all of this better than anyone. He is managing his 3rd World Cup with Mexico after Korea/Japan 2002 and South Africa 2010. Few coaches understand the pressure surrounding El Tri better than him. With managerial experience in Spain, Japan, and the Middle East, Aguirre has always been known as a pragmatic, direct, and emotionally strong coach. He does not promise spectacle, he promises competitiveness. His return in 2024 was always about rebuilding character, not reinventing the wheel. He delivered back-to-back CONCACAF titles, the Nations League in March 2025 and the Gold Cup in July, giving the squad belief and identity that had been missing for several years. Pre-tournament preparation included a 1-0 win over Australia, a 0-0 draw with Portugal, and a 1-1 draw with Belgium at the Azteca in March. These are not embarrassing results. These are the results of a team that knows what it is, knows how it wants to play, and is building quietly toward something. The squad Aguirre has assembled reflects his philosophy exactly. Raul Jimenez leads the attack, a striker with extraordinary experience and 45 international goals in 124 caps, a warrior who thrives in exactly this kind of pressurized emotional atmosphere. At 35 years old, Jimenez is not the same explosive center forward he was 5 years ago. But he has evolved into something perhaps more valuable, a leader who controls the line, brings teammates into play, and buries the chances that matter. Behind him, Edson Alvarez anchors the midfield with 98 caps to his name, now at Fenerbahce, and his ability to play as a holding midfielder or slide into a back 3 gives Aguirre tactical flexibility that few managers enjoy. Alvarez is the spine of this Mexico team. When he is on the ball, the team breathes. When he wins a tackle, the crowd erupts. He is the kind of player who does not score spectacular goals or dominate the headlines, but without him, this entire machine stops working. RG1 football. Then there is the extraordinary subplot surrounding Guillermo Ochoa. The 40-year-old goalkeeper becomes only the 3rd player in history alongside Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi to appear at 6 World Cups. He is only in the squad because first-choice goalkeeper Luis Malagón suffered a torn ACL, but nobody in Mexican football is complaining. Ochoa at the Azteca, in front of his own people, at a World Cup. That is the kind of story that writes itself. He has made a career out of defying expectations and making saves at the moments that matter most, and if Mexico need him tomorrow, he will be ready. The Azteca crowd can be as much a burden as a gift. Against Portugal in March, sections of the crowd booed their own team and ironically chanted "Olé" for the opposition when the performance failed to impress. The relationship between the national team and its supporters has grown increasingly tense due to the lack of success at major tournaments. That is the other side of hosting a World Cup that nobody talks about publicly. The home crowd does not give you a free pass. They demand. They expect. And if Mexico fall behind tomorrow or even just start poorly, the Azteca could turn into a pressure cooker that suffocates the very team it is supposed to inspire. Aguirre knows this. His players know this. Managing the crowd's energy as much as the opponent's tactics may be one of the defining challenges of their opening hour. South Africa arrive carrying a completely different kind of weight, the weight of redemption and pure national joy. For a country that last appeared at a World Cup in 2010, when they became the only host nation in history not to advance past the group stage. This is a moment of genuine national pride and renewed belief. Bafana have never advanced past the group stage in any of their 4 World Cup appearances, featuring in 1998, 2002, and 2010. But this time, there is a genuine sense that something is different. Hugo Broos, the 74-year-old Belgian manager who has quietly and methodically rebuilt this team since 2021, led South Africa to 4th place at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, and then guided them through one of Africa's toughest qualifying campaigns. When he first arrived, South African football was struggling with inconsistency and identity issues. Now there is clearer structure, stronger discipline, and growing confidence inside the camp. Broos has made clear this will be his final role in football before retirement. A 74-year-old coach, his last job, the World Cup, opening against the hosts in one of the most electric atmospheres in football. If there was ever a game to leave everything on the pitch, this is it. 44219 of South Africa's 26 players are based domestically, with Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates supplying 8 players each. This is not a squad of superstars scattered across Europe's elite clubs. This is a tightly knit, domestically grounded group that has built its identity through togetherness and collective discipline rather than individual brilliance. Captain Ronwen Williams is their heartbeat, calm, analytical, and the holder of an AFCON record for saving 4 penalties in a single shootout against Cape Verde at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. If Mexico get chances tomorrow and Williams is in that kind of form, they will need several of them to count. Teboho Mokoena is the midfield engine, with pinpoint passing, long-range shooting, and a relentless work rate that makes him one of the most complete central midfielders in African football. And up front, Lyle Foster is the most proven goalscorer in the squad at this level, and his fitness and form coming off his Burnley campaign will be closely watched. On either side of him, Relebohile Mofokeng and Oswin Apollos offer genuine pace on the counter, the kind of players who only need half a chance and a yard of space to make something dangerous happen. World Cup pass +3. The tactical picture is fascinating. Broos has built South Africa into a compact 4-3-2-1 designed to limit space, absorb pressure, and hit on the counter when the opportunity arises. Against Mexico at altitude, in front of 87,000 hostile fans, that defensive discipline will be tested from the first whistle. Broos will likely ask Mokoena and the 2 flanking midfielders to press Edson Alvarez aggressively in the first third, looking to force turnovers and launch South Africa's direct counterattack game. If they can win those midfield battles early and stop Mexico from building through their natural tempo, they have the athleticism and the tactical structure to frustrate the hosts for long periods. 5 of the last 6 matches involving Bafana have seen both teams score, so this is not a team that simply defends and hopes. They can hurt you if you give them space. But here is the thing about altitude that statistics simply cannot capture. The energy of the Azteca crowd has historically been one of the most intimidating atmospheres in world football, and Mexico have a 5-0-2 record in 7 World Cup games played at the Estadio Azteca. They have never lost a World Cup match at home. For South Africa, a team built largely on domestic players who have never experienced a crowd of this scale in a game of this magnitude, the first 20 minutes could be overwhelming in ways that no training camp can truly prepare you for. The sound when Mexico win their first tackle, the roar when Jimenez holds up his first ball, the noise when Alvarez breaks up. South Africa's first counter. These are moments that have broken stronger visiting teams than Bafana. FIFA World Cup news. The prediction is Mexico to win, but not comfortably. South Africa will make them work for every inch of this. Expect a cagey, tense first half where neither side fully dominates, with Mexico slowly building pressure through the crowd and through their midfield control. The decisive moment will likely come after the hour mark, when South Africa's legs begin to feel the altitude and Mexico find the gap. Jimenez leads the attack with 45 international goals. In a stadium full of his own people, in his final World Cup, with a nation desperate for redemption, he is the most dangerous man on that pitch tomorrow. If he scores, the Azteca will shake like nothing you have ever witnessed. Mexico 1-0. South Africa. A win that feels like relief more than celebration, and the first step on a journey that an entire country has been waiting 40 years for.